Hello artist! Today we are going to be making some galaxy painting and chalk pastel art. So to start, we are going to be making some planets using a wet in wet watercolor technique. Wet in wet just means we start by wetting our paper and then putting wet paint on the wet paper. So our first step is to set up our page. I have big yogurt cups, but you can use any circle you can find, and we're going to trace it on our paper. Whenever I trace things on my paper that I know I'm going to cut out later, I always push them all the way to the edges. That is so that I do not waste any paper. Because I push this one all the way to the edge, I'm able to fit another one on this side, so I can have two planets. And if you have any extra space on your paper and you can find some smaller circles, you can trace smaller circles in the open spaces. You don't need as many circles as I have, but I am going to have a lot of planets to choose from when I'm done painting. Now, you're going to begin by taking your watercolor, and as always, we are going to wake up our colors. So I take my brush, dip it in the water first, and then put some water on each of my colors. And then I tickle them to wake them up, and always rinse and wipe between colors. Tickle, rinse, and wipe. And now that all of my colors are awake, I'm ready to begin my wet in wet painting. So the first step in wet is just to take wet, which is water, and wet the paper. I'm gonna try to concentrate my water inside my circles, but because we're cutting them out later, it does not matter if I go outside the lines. And now, working very quickly, we're going to take wet paint, and while the paper is still wet, we are going to drop it all over our planets. And we're going to clean our brush between colors, and then you can just drop a new color. And while your planet is still wet, you'll see that the colors spread and blend into each other. When you finish one planet, you can turn your paper and move on to a new one. All the circles on your page are painted. You're going to take your paper and you're going to set it on a messy mat. You're going to pick up both sides. It's going to be very wet, so make sure you hold it level so we don't lose any of those drips. Set it on your messy mat, and then just set it aside to dry for now. All right, boys and girls, I hope you had so much fun creating your planets using wet in wet watercolor. I'll see you next time. Bye!